Thank you all for being here for this important discussion. We want to make this program available by recording it for YouTube. To protect your privacy, please hold questions until the question and answer time after our speaker is finished. Otherwise, we will assume that you are willing to have your voice without your picture as part of the YouTube video. Humanists value science and aim to put reason and compassion into action. How do reason, science, and compassion help us with life? We as humanists have the awesome freedom of being liberated from traditional norms and pathways. We can thus use the latest scientific research as a guide. To use our ability to achieve our goals and win at life, we manage intentionally the only things in life that we truly have control over: our feelings and thoughts, our compassion and reason. Longtime HCCO member Gleb Sipursky, PhD, is the co-founder and president of Intentional Insights, a scholar and popularizer of science-based strategies to manage our feelings and thoughts. Gleb will discuss how to use such techniques to win at life. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Dr. Gleb Sipursky.
Thank you, Rose, for that introduction. That was great. That was really nice. Thank you. Really appreciate it. So, thank you all for coming, and I'm glad that you're all here. Like I said, I hope I will not scare away the people who are newer. So, let's talk about the topic that we're here for: winning at life using science, reason, and emotions. And what we'll do in this talk is we'll talk about what it means to win at life. First of all, that's vague topic, and that's an important topic to discuss. Then we'll talk about some ways of doing so and broad frameworks for doing so and specific strategies for doing so. And then we'll just have a group discussion about how to apply this knowledge. You'll have a group discussion about how to apply this knowledge to yourselves, and then we'll have a broad discussion, Q&A, about how to apply this knowledge to yourselves. All right, so without further ado, let's begin. Who doesn't want to win at life? That's a fun thing, winning at life. Like, you all want to do that. Like, win at life, there's the game, winning at life. But, what does winning at life actually mean? It's a nice term, it has lots of warm fuzzies, oh yeah, it's great to win at life. What do you actually do to win at life? What does that mean? Well, let me tell you what it means. It's getting what you want by achieving your goals. We all have goals in life. We all want something. We all want to achieve something. And winning at life is essentially another term for getting what you want, achieving your own goals. So that's the point of winning at life. That's why we're all here. We're all independent agents. We are trying to win at life, and we're trying to get what we want by achieving our goals. Same reason you came here. You want to hear this talk about achieving your goals. You want to, about winning at life. You came here for the community, to bond with each other. And so you get nice warm fuzzies for that, and that helps you win at life. And that helps create this great community here, the humanist community of Central Ohio. And so you have this structure that helps you win at life. So it's getting what you want by achieving your goals. Now, what's the secret to refining and achieving your goals? Well, there are several secrets to doing so, but one of these things is knowing the truth, understanding the reality, and making wise decisions. So you want to figure out how to make the wisest decisions possible that will lead you to your goals. So getting the decision right, making the wise decision that will help you achieve your goals. Also, as part of that, figuring out what your goals are. So that's the point about refining. You want to refine your goals. You don't only want to go where you currently think you want to go, because maybe you want to pursue a different route. Maybe what you actually want to do isn't good for you. Maybe you don't want that 5th piece of chocolate cake at the buffet, Well, maybe you do, I don't know, But I personally don't. I struggle with that. So that's something I personally don't want. But the thing is, me in the moment at the buffet doesn't actually know that. Me in the moment in the buffet staring at that 5th piece of chocolate cake is like, I want that chocolate cake. Emotionally, I want it. But really, if I was cool and above the situation, I would be, staring at myself from knowing in the future, I'm going to a buffet tomorrow as part of a little celebration I have with Agnes, my wife, and Intentional Insights co-founder. I know I will be staring that 5th piece of chocolate cake in the face, and I know I will not want it. I know it will be hard to resist. So how do I make the wise decision? How do you make the wise decision to deal with that issue? So that's the science of wise decision making, figuring out what decision we want to make. And truth is the key to making wise decisions, to achieving your goals. So you want to figure out the truth about reality. I know from my current stance right now that the truth is that I don't want that fifth piece of cake. But it will be really hard for me, I know, emotionally in the moment, to resist that fifth piece of cake. So you need to know the difference between yourself, your goals that you actually want to achieve, and yourself in the moment who is really tempted by the emotions of that fifth piece of chocolate cake. So it's distancing yourself and figuring out what your goals actually are, and not thinking that whatever you feel currently in the moment is what your goals actually are. So that's called emotional reasoning, when we make decisions based on our emotions, not what we actually consciously want in our long-term goals. Science is the best method of knowing the truth. The science of decision-making, making wise decisions, evaluating things well, that is the best method of knowing the truth. And so you see here is a scientist who happens to be slightly mad, but still awesomely scientific. And he is the one who will be most likely to tell you the truth. Extremists are much less likely to tell you the truth. So, and your emotions are that extreme edge, where they swing this way, they swing that way. They don't take the time to think and process through things. They don't figure out what is actually the truth about the wisest decisions that you can make. And so, at this point, what I want you to do is look at the sheet that was handed out to you earlier, the Columbus Rationality sheet. If somebody doesn't have it, where are extra sheets? If it was passed around. Are there any extra sheets for Columbus Rationality?
Here's one. There you go. Here's one.
Okay. No, I don't need it. I'm saying if anyone else needs it. Now that has a list of common cognitive biases, which are thinking errors that human brains are prone to. So I want you to take a look at that list of cognitive biases and think about, take 3 minutes. Huh?
It's on the back.
Yes, it's on the back of the sheet. Thank you. It's on the front and the back. So there's some on the front, there's some on the back. So take a look at these common cognitive biases. Take about 3 minutes to do so, and think about which of these cognitive biases you are most prone to. Which of these thinking errors you are most prone to, because each of us is prone to different ones. So take about 3 minutes to do so, and think about it, and then keep it in your head. And this is, by the way, some of the stuff that we do at Columbus Rationality, at the subgroup that Max mentioned, figuring out what our thinking errors are and how we actually correct them. And how can we improve ourselves by identifying and improving our thinking abilities. So take about 3 minutes to do that. Let's go onward with the presentation. So, what is the science of wise decisions and achieving goals? That's brain science. It's about how our brain works. We have great people in the secular community, such as Neil deGrasse Tyson, Bill Nye, who popularize material science. We don't really have people who popularize brain science, how our brain works.
Sapolsky does that.
Yes.
Steven Pinker. Steven Pinker.
Steven Pinker does a little bit of that. He doesn't.
Sam Harris is a.
Sam Harris tends to do philosophy. Yeah, so he doesn't.
Boghossian as well.
Dane Kahneman.
Right, he's not secular community. So in the secular community, I'm saying, and that's something that I'm trying to bring to the secular community. So I wrote the book mentioned earlier of Find Your Purpose Using Science. And that's a book that helps people use science-based strategies to find their purpose in life. So find your purpose using science. And that's one way that you can figure out your long-term goals, what your purpose in life is, what your meaning in life is, using science-based strategies. It's specifically oriented toward people who are more rationally inclined and aren't so into the new age woo stuff. of like find your purpose using my personal experience or vision quests or something like that. So that's, if that's your cup of tea, go for it, but not my cup of tea. So let's go back to the brain science. So at brain science, and this is part of the broader aspect of what we do at Intentional Insights, finding purpose and so on, is helping people understand what the recent research in psychology, cognitive neuroscience, medicine, and a lot of other fields that have to do with brain science, what kind of information it brings to us. And that's the broader practice of rationality as well, so which you have the handout for. So it's basically figuring out how we can achieve our goals, make wise decisions, and evaluate reality using the most recent research on how to do these things. And taking the stuff from dry academic articles, which are often trapped behind a firewall, which you basically, if you're not at a university, you have to pay about $30 for to get access to an article. And even if you are at a university, most people aren't going to be really interested in reading those. And so we take those articles and make them broad and popularly accessible, engaging images, stories, and so on, examples. So making them easy to understand, easy to engage with. And that's brain science, the science of goal achievement. So let's talk a little bit about reason and emotions. At first I titled this talk Reason and Compassion. I wanted to just broaden it a little bit into emotions in general, not only compassion. Compassion is an important aspect of emotions. So reason and emotions are two basic pathways that our brains follow. These are rough approximations, but they are very, very applicable to how we actually function. So you have the reason-oriented system, and that is the higher cognitive system, the higher self, the higher road. And talk about it more in a minute, but it's basically the cognitive self, who you actually perceive yourself to be, your thinking processes. And then we have emotions, which are basically called the low road. For a reason, they are much easier road to travel, they are much more common, they're much more frequent, they influence us throughout our lives, and they're very powerful. So reason and emotions. Now, and why I have the elephant there? So anyone knows why I have an elephant there?
You never forget.
That's one. That's one. That's a good one, but that's not quite the answer. Yes, Max.
Is it because there's a guy and there's an elephant? Are they supposed to represent something about reasoning and emotions?
Right, they are. Yes, Robert.
Oh, I was going to say it's an elephant. What are you going to do? Move it?
You can, definitely. Actually, the guy at the top of the elephant can move the elephant. And Max is right. Max is right. Right. Max is right. They represent reason and emotions because our reason is like the rider on an elephant. And this is a term popularized by Dan and Chip Heath, who are prominent writers in the realm of reason and emotions. One is a psychologist at Stanford. The other is his brother. People like Kahneman talk about reason and emotions using terms like System 1 and System 2, where System 2 is the reason-oriented system, System 1 is the emotion-oriented system. But basically, the metaphor of the elephant and rider is that the elephant is much bigger and more powerful than the rider, but the rider is the reason, the elephant is the emotions, but the rider can steer and guide the elephant. So Robert is incorrect. The elephant can be moved, and slowly over time. And let me highlight that we are not our thoughts. Again, it seems like we are our thoughts. We appear to ourselves. We think about ourselves consciously as the reason-oriented creatures. But we are actually a broad conglomerate of things. Our mind is made up of many, many components. And most of those components are functioning with emotions. Emotions are the main impetus for ourselves. So we're not the brain. We are the person on the elephant, and the elephant is both larger and much more fun and colorful. Now, how does our mind work? Let's talk a little bit about these two systems, so get more on the same page about what they are. System 1 is the elephant system. That's what we call the autopilot system. It's the system where we function on autopilot. It's subconscious. It's automatic. It's habits, stuff we do. You know, the way I gesture my arms. I don't think about the way I'm gesturing my arms. I'm just gesturing. You know, if I was thinking about it, it would take me a very long time to figure out how to make a simple gesture. It's good. I like those habits. So those are good habits. So automatic, it's fast, it's intuitive, it's emotional. It really goes fast, and it's, you know, you perceive something, it turns on, as research shows, within a couple of milliseconds of perceiving external stimuli. So it's a very, very fast reactive system. It's very powerful. It's a thing that allows you to jump out of the front of a moving car before you even know it's there. So that is a really good system. It functions well, large majority of the time, probably about 80% or so. It does exactly what we need it to do. Now, what's the rider? That's the intentional system. When we think, when we actually process things. And it's actually a really hard and effortful thing to think. Daniel Kahneman called the mind a cognitive miser. And that's because it takes a lot of energy, it takes a lot of focus to think. You know, you think about the last time you were trying to learn something hard and you were trying to get engaged with something new. It was effortful. It took a lot of time, your brain power. Your mind wandered. Your attention was unfocused because it's really hard. Like Robert right now is not focused and he's playing with his thing. So that's an example of like how somebody's mind is wandering and how they're unfocused. So that is a specific, clear example of unfocusing and mind wandering. So this is an example of an elephant reaction. Now, rider reaction is more conscious, mindful, paying attention. So it's a slow system. It's a reasoning system. It's a logical system. And that is the system that is much weaker. It is much weaker than the elephant system. It is much less powerful, and it has much less energy, much less capacity to do stuff. However, this doesn't mean that it's bad, that this is a bad setup. In many ways, it's a good setup. Like I said, you can actually do many things for your habits that are really good. They are something you want to have. We function in our autopilot mode. About 80 to 90% of our activities are in autopilot. About 10 to 20 are in the rational system. And that's not bad as long as your habitual ways of thinking and feeling are good and are well suited to your actual long-term goals. As you might have seen from the handout, there are some systematic mistakes that System 1 makes, that the emotional system makes. And some of these are applicable to System 2, the rider's one as well. But there are so many problematic habits that System 1 has that it's right only 80% of the time. And you know what? We can do better. We can really do better. We can retrain the elephant and the rider to help us win at life. So you can direct the rider, you can motivate the elephant, and you can shape your path into the future. And there are very concrete and clear, simple things you can try to do so. So like I said, there's a lot of content on the Intentional Insights website that talks about ways to retrain the elephant, to basically change your habits of thinking, feeling, and behavior to improve them, to actually reach your goals. Because the only thing we have in life, as Rose so thoughtfully pointed out, is control over these things, over our own minds and over our own hearts, over our own behavior, over our own thinking, feeling, and behavior patterns. And those can be reshaped. That's what the practice of rationality is about, that Max brought up, and that's what Intentional Insights content is about, and that's what I hope you will consider checking out as well and engaging with more actively. So, thank you for coming to this presentation. And consider the steps that you can do to help yourself be a better person, be more in control of your mind, your heart, and your behavior patterns. Again, thank you.